Imagine wanting to work, having the skills, and yet still being unable to find a stable job. For millions of people, this is not just a temporary problem, it's a daily reality. Lack of job opportunities doesn't just affect individuals, it also impacts society as a whole. It impacts families, communities, and entire cities. When people can't find work, they often face serious challenges like financial instability, stress, and uncertainty about their future. Paying bills, supporting a family, or even avoiding basic necessities becomes harder. Many Americans already live paycheck to paycheck, and without stable employment, one unexpected expense can lead to major problems. Jobs provide important benefits like health insurance, which many people lose when they're unemployed or forced to bounce from job to job. Even though the U.S. unemployment rate appears fairly low, that number doesn't tell the whole story. There are currently many reports showing long term unemployment. This brings up concerns of disencouragement, failure, and self loss of worth. The job market itself is also slowing down, with fewer new jobs opening and more people competing for the same positions. In many communities, especially ones affected by past injustices such as redlining, the lack of local job opportunities becomes even worse. These areas often have fewer businesses, underfunded schools, and limited transportation, making it hard for residents to look for good qualified jobs. Discrimination in hiring and advancements in technology also make the problems worse, pushing many people, like blue collar workers, out of stable employment. Our group's essential question was, how can government change their ways to create equal job opportunities for all? After talking to Stephanie Budd, she said, I learned that it takes some people over an hour just to get places. Transportation needs to be fixed so that those with less money can have the opportunity to work. The lack of job opportunities is not just an economic issue, it is a social injustice. Understanding why this problem exists and how it affects people is the first step in the right direction to creating change and building stronger, more stable communities. For our project this year, we are using the Praxis process to raise money about lack of local job opportunities.
To study the injustice of lack of job opportunities, our group followed the praxis cycle of social justice. The first part of our praxis cycle is awareness. Many communities in the United States face a lack of local job opportunities, which is also evident in Cleveland. Factory closures, industry change, economic inequality, and population decline have impacted the number of stable jobs. When people can't find a job, they struggle to pay bills and afford basic needs. Stress level often increases, and mental health often suffers because of this. Research shows a connection between unemployment and anxiety. According to the national labor data, more than 1 in 4 unemployed Americans are classified as long term unemployed. This means they have been without work for 6 months or longer, a condition strongly linked to higher rates of depression and anxiety. Losing a job can also hurt someone's identity and stability. In the US, millions of people are unemployed for long periods of time or are forced to work part time. This often stems from when they need full time hours, which is a struggle to come by. Long term unemployment makes it harder for people to recover financially and emotionally. In Cleveland, these problems are even more visible. According to CBS News, nearly 30% of residents in Cleveland live below the poverty line, and many of the city's most common job wages are not enough to cover basic living expenses, even for full time workers. Many neighborhoods have low wages, limited job options, and few chances for advancement. This creates cycles of poverty and stress that affect generations after generations. These conditions are also shown in the book Help Wanted. In this book, workers are scheduled for early shifts before 4 a.m. Hours are often inconsistent, schedules often change, and many workers must have 2 or 3 jobs just to survive. People are promised full time work and benefits, and this often disappears after management changes. Even when workers show up every day and work hard, they are left with unstable jobs. While the book is fiction, some of these events are based on real experiences. This shows how job systems can fail to support workers. The lack of local job opportunities not only affects individuals, it weakens families, hurt mental health, and it impacts entire communities.
Catholic social teachings are also evident in the lack of local job opportunities. One major theme of Catholic social teaching is connected to the lack of local job opportunities is the dignity of work and the rights of workers. Catholic social teaching emphasizes that work is more than a way to earn money. It is a way for people to express their God-given dignity, support their families, and contribute meaningfully to their communities. Scripture reinforces this idea in Genesis 2:15, which states that God placed humans on earth to work and care for creation. When local jobs disappear, people are often forced to accept unstable or low-paying work or leave their communities entirely. This undermines the belief that all work should respect human dignity and provide security and purpose. Another important Catholic social teaching theme related to this issue is option for the poor and vulnerability. A lack of local employment disproportionately affects low income families who may not have the financial resources to relocate or commute long distances. Without stable work nearby, families can struggle to afford basic necessities such as food, housing, and healthcare. In Proverbs 31 8-9, Scripture tells us to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves and defend the rights of the poor. Catholic social teaching urges society to prioritize those most in need, which includes investing in job opportunities that allow vulnerable communities to remain stable and supported. This issue also connects to the principle of subsidiarity, which teaches that social problems should be addressed at the most local level possible. When jobs are lost, decisions are often made by distant corporations or large systems that do not understand the specific needs of local communities. Catholic social teaching encourages empowering local governments, small businesses, and community organizations to create solutions such as job training programs and locally owned businesses that directly benefit residents. In addition, this issue reflects Gilmore's Holy Cross charism of inclusiveness, which calls us to form individuals who think critically and act compassionately to include everyone. Addressing local unemployment requires education, job training, and leadership development so people can build sustainable futures within their own communities. It also reflects the charism of hospitality, as stable local employment strengthens families by allowing parents and caregivers to remain present and provide consistent support for their children. Overall, Catholic social teachings makes it clear that the lack of local job opportunities is not just an economic problem but a moral issue. It affects human dignity, justice, family stability, and the community's well-being. Through CST, Scripture, and the Holy Cross charisms, we are called to respond with compassion, responsibility, and action.
The second part of the Praxis cycle is analysis. Our group decided to interview two different individuals to gain a deeper understanding of the lack of local job opportunities. This included Stephanie Budd, the education manager at Foodstrong, and Amy Hill, senior vice president of the North American Human Resources for AmTrust Insurance. Before we attended these interviews, our group mainly believed that the lack of local job opportunities in Cleveland occurred due to the employees themselves. But these interviews changed our minds. In our interview with Stephanie Budd, we began to learn that the lack of jobs and high unemployment rates are very affected by systematic barriers such as the lack of funding and transportation issues in underfunded communities. Budd discussed that nonprofit organizations, such as the one she works for, rely strongly on donations, making it hard to maintain long-term jobs. Stephanie Budd even shared that what's hard to fund is the operations, which are your business and administrative essentials. It is shown that Foodstrong is dependent on volunteers more than actual paying workers. Budd next discussed the systematic issue of lack of transportation in the face of this issue, that being the underfunded neighborhoods in Cleveland. These are ordinary people who have the desire to work, but have a difficult time accessing jobs nearby or even transportation to get to their work. Our next interview with Amy Hill dealt more with the economic side. We learned that lower level jobs are hard to find because of automation, specifically hurting college graduates. Although trade jobs may be increasing, not everyone can take on this path of work. Both of these interviews show that the lack of local job opportunities can be seen as a systematic injustice because it corresponds with regular practices of poor funding, transportation issues, and educational injustices, such as in Cleveland. The effect of this is systematic injustice and inequality. Larger businesses are prioritizing workers' dignity ahead of time. Education systems are not preparing young adults for the current harsh labor market. And the public transportation systems are not helpful towards low-income neighborhoods. All of these factors also oppose solidarity. This is mainly because these contribute to the competition among people rather than working together. People tend to fight over jobs and see each other as enemies. This directly goes against solidarity. People are now working against each other when they should be helping build a better world. By incorporating human dignity and making sure that everyone has access to employment, people can work towards solidarity. Right now, this systematic injustice is hurting the common good, increasing poverty, instability, and mental health challenges, specifically within these underfunded Cleveland neighborhoods. The U.S. Department of Labor plays a huge role as it is a government institution that can help. To help employment, this agency develops labor safeguards, job training grants, and workforce development programs. Locally, Cleveland has begun to address these problems with the Site Readiness for Good Jobs Fund. This attempts to prepare land for major employers to keep well-paid workers in the area. These programs work with the community's needs and the advancement of workers' dignity. As this progress is happening, it is important to continue with the contributions made by the Department of Labor, local government, and community members to keep the economic growth that benefits everyone and serves the common good and promotes solidarity rather than deepening inequality.
The fifth step of the Praxis cycle is action. Our group of 6 went out and put our faith and values in a meaningful way. Instead of talking about a problem or researching about our topic, we took real steps to make a difference in the community. This allowed us to live out what we believe by helping others and responding to an important need. For our service, we decided to help at the Cleveland Kids Book Bank, located on the west side. When we got there, our leader showed us around and gave us a short backstory on the Cleveland Kids Book Bank. The first thing we did was label the hardcover books with a sticker. We then cleaned all of the books and put them into boxes, each with 30 books. We then merged with the other volunteers and spent the rest of the time sorting. There were many categories, such as picture, religious, chapter, or adult books. There were huge bins full of books that we were sorting. This was definitely tiring, but our group got a lot of work done. Our shift also included meeting team members, volunteers, and finding books that we used to read when we were young. It was an amazing experience getting to know that we are helping with the organization that allows kids to come in and not have to worry about buying a book. It was also meaningful to know that we were helping children discover new books that they might find interest in and feel excited to read. This step of the praxis cycle is important because it is not just about thinking, but about taking action. Through service, we were able to apply our values in a real world setting and see the impact that our efforts have. Action leads to real change by helping others and reminding us that even small acts of service can make a positive and significant difference in others' lives. Action leads to real change, not just ideas.
Goal is conclusion and next steps. Overall, our project helped us understand that the lack of job opportunities in Cleveland is a bigger problem than we originally thought. At the beginning of this project, we assumed unemployment was mostly due to people not trying hard enough. However, after our research, interviews, and service project, we saw that there are multiple things built into our system. Things such as automation, AI, unstable jobs, and the gaps in education make it extremely difficult for people to gain stable or even have full-time jobs. We also learned that many people have the desire to work and support themselves and their families, but they may not have access to the same opportunities as others. The cause of this is that whole communities struggle with poverty, which results in fewer chances for success in the business world. Understanding this changed our perspectives, and we realized that solving this issue requires the government and community to acknowledge this and make an effort. Our 2 interviews gave us multiple perspectives on why our system is set this way, but there are things we can do to help make that change. Action matters, and our service at the Cleveland Kids Book Bank showed that. By being able to help provide books for kids, we support education, which plays a massive part in creating future job opportunities. This showed us that even small acts of service can improve our community. Praxis taught us that learning more about the problem is very important, but taking action is what starts the change. In the future, continuing to volunteer with organizations like the Cleveland Kids Book Bank will give support to community and children's education. We can also encourage schools and businesses to create internships and programs for students. Finally, inviting local businesses to come speak at schools and give insight into possible career paths can make a huge difference.